The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
Hundreds and hundreds of bodies.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Last of Us Survivor Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 7 of the University, and we are entering the Science Building. So this is one of the tougher parts of the game. This first section not so much because there's not a single enemy to be seen. But once you've proceeded all the way through the building, you're going to get to a room that triggers a bunch of hunters to come to you. And from that point onwards, it's pretty much action back to back. I don't think there's a way to stealth through it, mainly because a lot of the enemies are coming at you from where you need to go. So I suppose you could lure them away and then go, but in the grand scheme of things, when you get to the end, you're going to trip some spawns where enemies come really close to you anyway, so it might just be better to go guns blazing, and that is what you're going to see in this video, and hopefully it's going to help folks who are having any problems with it, because it's not the easiest of sections. They flank, there's a lot of them, it's interesting geometry around you, and it's not easy. And I know I've said in this guide that I didn't really have any problems when I was recording it, but that doesn't mean that it's not challenging. You know, my ideas of problems are parts of games that get patched because everybody complains about them. So I didn't come across anything along those lines, and I was rather fortunate with most of my environments and situations that I managed to get through them quickly. And a lot of people will be the same, but that doesn't mean that they're not challenging, and it also doesn't mean that they're not going to, you know, take some patience if you're having troubles with them. And the one thing I want to stress the most about this game is that it's at its easiest when you're equipped. And that is the main thing. It is a survival game, and if you have the tools of survivability, you're going to have a much easier time than the guy who is not a great shot, who is making bad decisions and puts himself into a shit, prospect. And that's not because it's anything directly on him, it's just sometimes that happens to all of us. We have bad days, we have off moments, and this is a game that's going to punish those moments. And this is a game that at times can be very challenging. But I think that's a good thing, and I think it's a great thing actually, because not only does it bring more traffic to YouTube so that people's videos who are making good guides get recognised, well, even though that's not true at all, but it gives me faith that these videos might do well, and that is all a content producer can hope for. Like, I would love for, somebody to tweet out one of my guides and say like, yo dog, check this out, it's really, really good, and get a ton of traffic, but I've grown to the point now of my maturity on YouTube that I realise that just doesn't happen. And when it does happen, it's one of those just epiphany, almost serendipity moments, and it always happens to somebody else, because one thing in life we can almost be guaranteed is that it's always the other person who wins the proverbial lottery. But that's not a bad thing, folks, because it means that you earn your success, and it means that you're rewarded by it, and you enjoy it so much more because you've had the sour. And I think that's a cool thing about, a lot of things that have happened while I've been on YouTube. I remember not having any views on any videos and just uploading them, and I remember that mentality, and I use that mentality to motivate myself, because now I have quite a lot of people that enjoy the content. I've got quite a lot of regulars, and I'm in a pretty fun situation where when I put something up, there's always a handful of people willing to appraise it and tell me what they think and if they enjoy it and so on, and it's empowering. It's really empowering. And this level design is just, God, I love this game. The detail, it's the touches. It's the stuff that I put into my third year 3D when I was at uni. Like, it's the character moments of, anybody can model something to look photorealistic and brilliant, but it's then when you go into it and you break it down and you make it more decrepit and degrade it and damage it, that's where the real fun comes from. That's where the real character shows itself. So let's have a look. Just more looting with the looks of this. This is a 17-minute video, folks, so there's going to be a ton of looting. So I'm going to talk about some different stuff, because we're a few videos in now and it's getting tougher to talk about the looting without sounding like a broken record. And, one of the paramounts that I always try and hit on my channel is to make the commentary entertaining, or at least salient. And I don't like repeating myself, and I try to not do it as much as I can, but the human brain is a tool that, especially with a shitty short-term memory, is something sometimes cannot be avoided. But I was reading a news story a couple of minutes back when I was having a break in between these videos, because it's very hot in this room, and you know, I feel like a terrorist. I feel like I'm being interrogated by the NSA. I'm wearing a bomb vest underneath my clothing, and the NSA hasn't realised this, and they're interrogating me, and I'm almost convincing them I'm innocent. That's how much I'm sweating. It's unbelievable. But I was reading a news article on Prey 2. Bethesda have officially made a statement as to why Prey 2 is being quiet right now, and it is a pretty blunt statement, but it's a great statement. They've literally said it is not good enough at this moment to warrant being shown. It is not hitting the quality bar that they think they all strive to be, and thus we're not seeing anything from it just yet. Which is a great attitude, sorry. And it's a bold attitude too, but if anything I've learnt from Bethesda is they are their own business, they do things their way, and they don't compromise, and that generally means great games. The disconnect that I have from this statement is Bethesda are also a publisher, and they've published some pretty fucking questionable games. You know? Like, a game that I quite liked and I had a lot of fun with, called Wet, was published by Bethesda, and it didn't get glowing reviews, and in fact a lot of people I know really didn't like it. Rogue Warrior, a game that I felt was hilariously bad, was published by Bethesda. Did that hit this mark of quality too? I don't really know. It kind of strange. Like Rage. I thought Rage was a great concept and a kind of shitty game. You know, after the first novelty wore off, it was just a generic shooter with some fantastic visuals when they weren't popping in all the time. And I think Bethesda published that one as well. I think Bethesda published Brink, which I hope I'm wrong, and I haven't checked this, so there's a possibility, god damn it, tongue, that I could be wrong. But as it stands, I'm glad they've said that about Prey, because I liked Prey 1. I was one of the only people on this planet of my friends that liked it, because you ask Aiden from the podcast and he will mock Prey 1 for days. It'll just go into Native American impressions and everybody calling each other Tommy, or fucking Spirit Walker, or the Shadow of the Buffalo, or whatever we used to do. But that transition there means that it's going to kick into overdrive and we're going to start fighting some dudes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally push forward as quick as I can, get myself into position, and neutralise them the best way I can. I'm going to continue about this Bethesda story, and then I'll come back to what's happening on the game. 2 runners come at you at the beginning, I remember this, so take them out as best you can. They're easy targets. That was me needing to reload, and yeah, that just happened. So if you're wondering what happened there, is because I was close to the door, it was counted as a wall, and when the enemy grabbed me to do the context-sensitive push me against the wall so I can struggle, it couldn't register it on the door. So it released me, I went to swing again, the swing didn't connect because he grabbed me, and we kind of did this back and forth ridiculous waltz of silliness, and then I smacked him in the face with a machete. So, I'm glad I recorded that. I get all the jank on my playthroughs. But anyway, back to the story I was reading. You know, Bethesda said it's not good enough. They've put time into it. They've put almost $1 million into it, and it's not at the level yet. It's not cancelled, I don't think. It's just not at the level of quality, so there's still hope for it. There's just no news right now. And I was reading the comments, you know, to see what the ignorance of the internet was going to share with us to entertain me today. And I got as far as somebody saying I liked Brink, and I turned it off, because as soon as I get to the point of somebody saying I like Brink, that is where I'm done. I'm done at that point. Like, if you want me to ignore you and completely invalidate your opinion on everything ever, say you like Brink. It's that simple, man. I will turn off, I will watch a butterfly fly away, my attention span is gone, my respect is gone. We have nothing to discuss. But I am curious to see what that game's going to be, and I do look forward to playing it. So this is the firefight anyhow. There's a guy in the opposite science lab giving me some trouble. There's a quick headshot from the Magnum. Does some serious damage when you land it. Not as much as I would like, but it's still pretty good. There was a chest shot, I believe, and I do not think he's dead. You can tell I'm keeping the camera on it. I'm not checking my flank because I'm almost certain he's alive. But he doesn't bob up again, so he may be dead. And a really good tip here, if you've not got into the habit of it, whenever you're moving through an environment, always put a shotgun on. You have a shotgun, you have an advantage against anybody trying to sneak up. If you get startled by somebody, you already have the buckshot to deal with them. So, it's just, it makes sense. This next checkpoint is awkward because if you die, it's going to fuck it up big time. So you'll notice, I run forward trying to trip it. I didn't run far enough. You've got to literally go around the corner. When you go around the corner, the doorway is where the enemies come from, and there's a bunch of them. And I throw a Molotov, hoping to get them all, and it doesn't work again. So here is another fantastic opportunity on how not to use your Molotovs. You know, I even damaged myself with that one because I didn't wait long enough for all the enemies. And you'll see, like, he runs that way. A guy flanks my left because I saw him run, and there is a way to get to my back. This guy, his AI is having trouble, so I take full advantage. And I'm listening. Because I know there's another guy. I know there's two guys. Or I believe there to be two guys anyway. There's another axe, which means I can go, you know, Jack Nicholson on some motherfuckers, which is always good news, because I love doing it. I can hear somebody moving. And I can't tell if it's me. I can't tell if it's her. Because I've got the volume muted to an extent so I can commentate without being interrupted. So I know that there's people left, I'm just not entirely sure why. And it's at this moment where they usually say something, so maybe they're dead, or maybe they're hiding. And this is where it's the most dangerous part of the game, when you know there's somebody but you don't know where. And when you move towards these steps, you're going to trigger a spawn of, I believe, two guys, and one of them's got a shotgun. And if I said that this guy was a dick, I'd be understating it, because he one-pieced me so many times. Like, shot my fucking hand, or something. Shot the barrel of my gun, and I took full damage. So, I'm really confused, because I thought there was more guys, and I can't see them. But when you come over here, it trips them. Yeah, here it is. Here's the checkpoint. And there's three people. There's those two, and there's one guy around this corner. I'm almost certain there is. Yeah, there he is. And the reason I know this is, depending on the checkpoint you get, because the checkpoints on this part are really weird, these people will rush up the stairs when you get to the face of the stairs. They didn't do it this time because this, I think, was either the first attempt or a later attempt where the scripting worked. But if that happens differently on your game, it's just one of those weirdnesses that happens throughout The Last of Us. And yeah, there's not really much I can do to give you more of a concise picture. It's something you've got to experience and how it works. And I can't even begin to understand this section, because that is just nuts. But the thing that gets me most is, he landed on a piece of concrete that had the spike on it. So not only is he impaled, but that might have even broke his back. So this is a real bad spot for Joel. And some guys are going to pop in, and you get a chance to shoot them. Which, I missed my first shot like an idiot, but I do think your ammo is unlimited in this part. And the remainder of this video is more cinematic than actual gameplay. That being said, I think you can probably fail. We'll soon find out though, because I'll share my thoughts on the moments as they occur. But here is Joel with a big old nasty hole in him. And now you get to control him when he's a little bit knackered, which is always fun. And they do some interesting stuff with the game to convey the injury and the delirium. With you see how the focus is slightly off, and it's going to pull focus quite a lot. It's going to, you know, the brightness and it's going to overexpose a lot of the whites. It's some pretty nice cinematic effects. I had a lot of fun with this section. And then this section here, a guy comes in, and Ellie goes to handle him. Ellie shoots him and distracts him, and you have to then shoot him. I don't know if she can die if you don't shoot him. I never tried. But it's one of those moments where I wouldn't push your luck, because you never know. This is a cool fucking section though, and the coolest part about this section is later on there's going to be a twist where Ellie's talking to somebody and he mentions this encounter. And it's one of those moments where, you know, if you know how they use those violin noises, or they get the back of the piano and they run the hand across the strings, it's like or across the keys or whatever. It's one of those moments where you suddenly realise this is a dangerous situation. And it's one of the scariest moments of the narrative, and I really appreciated it. But that's coming up in the next mission, which I personally believe to be, if not the hardest mission in the game, one of them definitely. But this is just more, you know, crouchy, walky stuff. There is a couple more opportunities to do some shooting. There is some lovely focus pulls.
Can you walk?
Yes.
I'm a big fan of camera work in games, and I don't think we've seen half of what we could see. I think the future of gaming is bright when it comes to, you know, a cinematographic perspective. And that's why I liked Kane and Lynch so much, because it acknowledged there was a camera. It wasn't, you know, breaking the fourth wall, but it at least conveyed the detail on the camera a lot. And it did it to such an extent I really enjoyed the aesthetic. And IO has fired almost everybody in their fucking team, and all they're going to focus on is Hitmans. Awesome, IO. What a fantastic decision. Oh, God. Money ruins everything, folks. It really does. But this is the end of this sequence. I don't think there's any more gameplay left. I think it's just more staggering forward and stumbling. So as per normal, thank you for watching. I hope it helped, and you take care now.